Hi everyone, this is my very first video of the new year of 2024, and this is called How to Write a Book in the Style of Beatrice Sparks. This is based off of a blog post of the same title, which I published on the 12th of November, 2018, and if some of you guys might remember one of my most viewed posts to date, I believe it's in the top 10 or maybe even the top 5, I'll have to check my stats again, is about the book Unmask Alice by Rick Emerson. Just like this woman was even worse than I already had known she was for so many years. She, if you don't already know, she was the true author of the book Go Ask Alice, and she wrote at least 75% of the book Jay's Journal. It's horrible what she did to the real life family of the boy who wrote about 25 of those entries, and she wrote a number of other like so-called real troubled teen journals, and there are just so many horrible things about this woman. And she was just more than the usual fraud, because she was like, people are actually being influenced by these books and like thinking they were real. But obviously you can like go check out that video if you want. And this is just about talking about one of the reasons like many people like realized, even without like people spelling it out in like real exposés, knowing she was the real author, is because all of her books have the exact same writing style. And that's one thing, if you're writing fiction, of course there's going to be like, have a certain style or voice throughout each different book, like, themes you like to cover, different like aspects of characters, like maybe they're all like, quite, they're in a certain religion, like you're Lutheran, so all of your characters, many of your characters share your Lutheran faith, or you have a certain, political views, and many of your characters lean that way themselves. But this is like more than just like, imbuing your books with a certain, style or your values or whatever. This is actually like specific, like every single like so-called distinct like journaler talks in the exact same voice. That's just, totally not realistic. And I could do so many more videos just ripping this woman a new one. She was just a horrible, horrible fraud. And so, anyway, ordinarily, I would not care if someone wrote books I didn't click with, that like that's just, one person's lousy writing is another person's treasure. But in the case of Dr. Sparks, this isn't just about bad writing or books that aren't my style at all. Since more than a few people, especially in her target audience of impressionable teenagers, believe these are true stories, she was dangerous and unethical in addition to a fraud. Some of her books are marginally better than others, I'll grant her that one. They're not all pure horse dung, but with the obvious exception of the 25 real entries from Alden Barrett's and Jay's Journal, they all read like the work of an over-the-hill, extremely conservative and religious person pretending to be a teen. That's just like, how much more like vile can you get? We now know Sparks lied about her training, education, credentials, experience, etc. People who know what's what also understand she was the true author of all those books, and what she did to the poor Barrett family. Just, you can go review my video if you're not already like familiar with that story, but just like a quick synopsis: the young man who wrote those entries in the book, he unfortunately, took his own life. He was just like overcome with like stress and depression and like real life, drama going on, and the family reached out to Dr. Sparks thinking she would like help teenagers the way she did with Go Ask Alice, which many people at the time believed was the real journal. And instead she made up a bizarre satanic theme, and like she didn't do such a great job of like hiding like who these people were or where they lived. And so like people in the town of American Fork, Utah quickly figured it out, and they started like harassing the family. The parents eventually divorced, and they kept like defacing and stealing the young man's gravestone, and one time it was even like returned like, facing the wrong way. It was just, and she was even keeping a creepy scrapbook, like kind of taking just perverse glee in what was happening to this family. It was just particularly like, effed up, because like her own family, fell apart with like divorce and like husbands leaving wives and stuff. So how could she do that to another family? It's just like so absolutely inexcusable. But anyway, I have no problem with either a real life or fictional teen, or anyone of that age for that matter, being religious, frequently praying, having a close-knit relationship with her or his mother, trying to live a G-rated life, being conservative, etc. What I do have an issue with is how Sparks injected this into each and every one of her books, as I was previously explaining, making her characters clones of herself. The way her characters express these things is so unrealistic, ridiculous, over the top, identical. So, how to write in the style of Dr. Sparks. Number 1. Always give the time of day at the start of each entry, and every time you return to an entry later in the day. I am not kidding. Every single one of her diaries does this. Like, how many actual real life diaries do this? I don't believe I have, ever done this in my life. Maybe like once in a while I might like mention the time of day or something, but that's just not something I've ever done and regularly at all, or even like common in any of my journal entries. And I've been regularly journaling since September of 1989. And I've read a number of, published real life journals, and I don't see that in any of them except, surprise, surprise, Dr. Sparks's books. Number 2, everyone loves random caps. In fact, readers have even more love for entire sentences in all caps, or better yet, complete paragraphs in all caps. Number 3, we all love random italics too. Number 4, the best of both worlds is random caps in italics. I am not like exaggerating. Like, you can tell she wrote these books because this is how all of her like so-called diarists are writing. Like, seriously, it's like writing a mystery and like making it so obvious who done it from the very first paragraph. Number 5, who doesn't love excessive exclamation points? Number 6, put them all together regularly for even better, more intense writing. Number 7, repeat words thrice for emphasis. Like, so for example, we've heard he's loud, 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 and my mom is so very wonderful. I love, love, love her. Yeah, I'll get to her like creepy, like fetishistic, like worship of all things mommykins later in this video. Number 8, randomly use advanced, fancy sounding words while pretending you have no idea where you heard them. Even better if you use distinctively Mormon concepts and terminology while feigning ignorance about their meanings. Like seriously, the only reason I recognize all this like Mormon, very distinctively, like, uniquely Mormon like language in all of her books is because I've studied world religions. Number 9, at the same time, talk like a preschool kid with beyond babyish language. Who wouldn't believe a 15-year-old ex-gangbanger would say goobly goop poop? Like what, she did not know how real teenagers actually spoke or wrote. It's just like, seriously, like, I don't understand why so many people could believe this woman was, just the mere editor or like discoverer, like psychiatrist of these like fake teens. Number 10, make up baby words and sprinkle in lots of connected nonsense syllables. Even a doo-wop song would reject. Like kit, 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 cat, cat, doodle. Like, seriously, I believe that one comes from Annie's Baby, which is one of her like all-time worst. Like, I believe I got that book for like, it was either free or like 50 cents, 25 cents at a library sale. Oh, it was just horrible. Like, one of the worst books I have ever read. Number 11, oversimplify complex issues and solve them in record time. Number 12, use the stock line, ooh, I'm so glad my dear, sweet, precious mom is my dear, sweet, precious mom. Like, ew, like, said no real teenager ever. Like, that's the cardinal opposite of things I've said about my mother in my, like, journals when I was, like, a teenager and, like, in my 20s and stuff. Like, teenagers, like, believe it or not, like, outside of like Molly Mormon world and Dr. Sparks's like milieu, like, teenagers are not exactly known for being all, lovey-dovey, like ooey gooey, like sweet, like touchy-feely, close-knit with their mothers. It's like usually the exact opposite. And like, even like when you're an adult, like many of us we just don't have close-knit relationships with our mothers just for whatever reason. And she acts like, oh, it's a moral failing if you're not lovingly worshipped at, oh, mommykins, ooh, I love my mommykins. Like, it's just, that is so totally unrealistic. But again, she was a Molly Mormon, which is, it's basically a slang term meaning like, an overly pure, like unrealistically moral, like Mormon woman. So basically like acting like an annoying goody from like in a 30s or 40s movie meant for, like unrealistically G-rated kids who would not exist in real life. Number 13, engage in hardcore fetishistic maternal worship where all things mommykins and mothers are pure, holy, angelic, never negative. Number 14, make sure your character comes from a broken home and depict divorced families as the worst moral crisis ever, bound to lead to all manner of social ills and sins. Number 15, trawl through psychology textbooks and after-school specials for serious lines to sprinkle in, Like a mean girl, quickly admitting she only acts like an aloof snob who doesn't want friends because she's insecure and afraid of rejection. Like, seriously, real people don't talk like that. Number 16, pack in as many problems as possible, no matter how disconnected. Like, for example, like single motherhood, premarital sex, drugs, abortion, divorce, like, sneaking out of the house, secretly dating someone who's 10 years older, like, sexual harassment, eating disorders, like gangs, like what else did she have in her books? Just like the foster care system, just like she just packs it all in there, and it's just like so unrealistic. Like, just like focus on a couple of main issues in a book or even a whole series set over many years. Don't just like unrealistically, oh, I'm just going to stuff in every single like teen problem to make it real, or like, oh, everyone can relate to a little something in the storyline. That just makes it just feel even more like stupid and unrealistic. Number 17, make your characters mentally much younger. Like, for example, a 14-year-old who sounds like a 3-year-old. And again, was another of my many issues with Annie's Baby. That book was just like so toxic. Pretty much the only reason I read her garbage is kind of, to take one for the team so I can give like brutally honest, realistic reviews of this like total crap and warn people away from reading it themselves. Number 18, your characters are never drawn into drug use, premarital sex, pregnancy, gangs, cults, etc. through their own actions. It's always the fault of bad friends tricking, abusing, exploiting them, because apparently good teens, they just like have no moral agency. That's like they would never do that by themselves. Oh no, only bad kids would ever, like have sex before they're married or like try a joint or anything like that. It could only be because like someone tricked them into it. It's just because like, teenagers, like she just had no idea how teenagers like, acted in real life. It was just like everyone was like an unrealistic goody like Molly Mormon or Peter Priesthood in her world. Number 19, everything is always magically all right again after your narrator tearfully confides in Mommykins, who's amazingly loving, forgiving, accepting, an angel on earth. I am not kidding when I say this is in every single one of her books, which I have read to date, except like maybe Finding Katie, which is about the foster care system. So obviously Mommykins isn't present in that book, after Katie's abusive, weird, creepy father just throws her out onto the streets of LA, and like surprisingly she's like allegedly from a rich family, but no one ever like starts a search for her. That's beyond unbelievable. I would love to do some videos like based on like book reviews I have written about her, like awful, like terrible garbage. Number 20, use lines no teen ever would utter, like, wowee, now I know what hormones are. That's from Annie's Baby again. It's just, oh, that book was so horrible. I really should do a video on it. Number 21, immediately apologize for cursing, thinking negative, unappreciative thoughts, or saying less than worshipful things about parents. Like, for example, ew, Mom, you are such a gross bitch. 5 minutes later, COMG, how dare I curse at my dear, sweet, precious Mommykins in the pages of my own journal. I'm worse than Hitler. I might as well kill myself now. Like, I am not exaggerating again when I say that is, exactly how she has entries in Annie's Baby and Jay's journal and a number of other books. Like, if it's normal for teenagers and even people of all ages to have difficult relationships with parents, I'm honest myself. I have never had a particularly like close lovey-dovey relationship with my mother for like reasons way too off topic to get into here. That's just like unfortunately how some of us have relationships. It doesn't mean we're like antagonistic towards one another. It just means like we have much different personalities and like interests and stuff like that. And she has these teens like, oh no, I said bad things about my precious dear, my darling, sweet Mommykins. Oh, I'm such a terrible, horrible person. Or like, oh no, I used a curse word and it's only like, damn or hell. It's like not even like the F word or anything like that. Oh no, I was cursing. Oh, I'm so terrible. I should wash my own mouth out with soap. And it's again, just so many unrealistic things about her, like stupid books. Number 22, jump into relationships at lightning speed and act like you've already got a serious eternal pair bond with a total stranger. And again, because Dr. Sparks with a Mormon, she frequently would use the term like, we're going to be together for all time and eternity in a world beyond our world, in the celestial planet and the terrestrial kingdom. That's obviously Mormon terminology, and she's having these teens like for example, in what was it, like Jenny's, but there was a book about a girl, Jenny, like I'll put the title in the text when I, like, it comes to me afterwards, but it was just like like she was being, like, stalked and like sexually harassed and groomed by a much older teacher, and like she has no idea what's going on. And at one point Jenny says, "Oh, I feel like I've been kicked out of the celestial circle. I heard that term somewhere and I don't know what it means." Where would you have ever heard that term unless you're like studying about Mormonism? Like, seriously, like how many non-Mormons and like people who are not, have not like seriously looked into world religions would even like have heard of most of this terminology? It's just like totally just stupid and like goofy. So Beatrice Sparks, I hate you. May you continue to be exposed as the vile fraud you were. Teens learn best by honest examples, delivered respectfully, not by being lied to, preached at, scared, and emotionally manipulated. So thank you very much for watching. Please consider leaving a comment. I really enjoy seeing comments from you guys, particularly because unfortunately my last 4 out of 5 videos have had absolutely 0 comments, even like one with over 300 views. So like hopefully that's only because it was like towards the end of the year and thick in the holiday season, and not because like people are like deliberately ignoring me. And also I did take a break for NaNoWriMo, and I only threw up a couple of videos of like unboxings and stuff I filmed throughout the month just to keep the algorithm happy. So hopefully my channel will start picking up again, because I will be making new content more often in the new year and so on. Thanks again for watching. I will see you guys again very soon. Bye.